future has arrived. When we look right across the world, electric vehicles are increasing in their dominance.
Dr. Jake Whitehead from the University of Queensland wants Australians to start buying a lot more electric vehicles.
We've got Sweden, Iceland around 50%. A large number of European countries are now over 10%. China is around 6 to 7%, and the US is approaching 3 to 4%. Australia, we're a little bit behind. We're sitting closer to 1.5%.
I often laugh a bit about Australia, I must admit.
Christina Boo heads the Norwegian Electric Vehicle Association. Norway leads the world in sales of EVs.
In 2021, by the end of November, 64% of all new car sales are full electric cars. There's no reason why Australia shouldn't have higher sales by now.
It is 31 years now since Norway started offering motorists incentives to go electric.
Buying a new car in Norway is expensive. Full electric cars, however, are exempt the purchase tax and the VAT, and therefore the price is more or less level. More than 70 different models have been registered, sold this year.
This Hyundai is the latest fully electric vehicle available in Australia. And even though there's all this hype about EVs, there's actually only about 20 models that you can get in this market. And the truth is that even if you do really like this one, it's pretty new, pretty flash, it'll cost you about $70,000 to get it on the road.
We don't need to throw tens of thousands of dollars at the market to solve this issue. Something in the order of a package of incentives around $6,000 to $8,000 in the short term, the next few years, would be enough to shift that needle and get us on the right track towards net zero emissions before 2050.
So, Hamish, I had a Toyota Kluger.
When Matt Keane became the New South Wales Minister for the Environment, he thought he'd check out what an EV would cost.
And it turned out that having an EV would actually be cheaper to run than the Kluger. I mean, every time I charge up my car by plugging it into the wall, it costs me about $4.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, compared to filling up a tank of petrol, which cost about $100,
yeah,
it's a bit of a no-brainer.
But Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor sees things a little differently.
There are vested interests who would like us to tell what kind of cars that customers should drive. That's not our role. We do believe in customer choice.
Why do you think the reputation of EVs in Australia isn't so great?
I think people don't understand them. And I think that, we saw a massive scare campaign against them at the last election, which frightened a lot of people. Instead of getting solutions, they've just got misinformation and fear around a lot of this stuff, and it's just rubbish.
Well, we're not into subsidising luxury cars. It's not something we're going to do as a government.
Well, it's just nonsense. The major car manufacturers, your Toyotas, your Fords, your General Motors, they're all moving electric. So they're not luxury cars by any stretch of the imagination.
Ford's latest entry into the EV stakes makes a mockery of Scott Morrison's claim 2 years ago.
It's not going to tow your trailer, it's not going to tow your boat, it's not going to get you out to your favourite camping spot with your family.
If you've got a table saw, a blender, a circular saw, a fan, a can opener, a kettle, a slow cooker, and a juicer that need powering, the F-150 Lightning is up to the task.
We are going to stand by our tradies and we are going to save their utes because we understand choice.
In the absence of federal leadership, we've gone on alone here in New South Wales. We're spending $500 million to encourage people to buy an EV by having upfront incentives. So we've put a $3,000 rebate on the table for everyone that purchases an EV that's under $78,000. In addition to that, we're going to waive stamp duty for all purchases of EVs under $68,000.
All the states and territories are offering some kinds of incentives. WA, Tassie, the NT and Queensland are slashing or abolishing specific levies like stamp duty and rego. New South Wales and Victoria have similar deals, but along with South Australia, they're offering a $3,000 rebate for specific EVs, while the ACT is also offering up to $15,000 in interest-free loans. But once you've bought your EV, charging it away from home can be a lengthy process. Well, this is the fastest charging electric vehicle on the market in Australia. Once you get it hooked up, it should only take 15 minutes for a full charge, and that should give you around 450 kilometres on the road. There is a slight catch, though. In Australia's biggest city, there's only a few spots where you can find one of these ultra-rapid chargers.
There's still more work to be done, but we're taking the right steps, and probably infrastructure is really the only area that Australia is starting to get right.
The Morrison government recently announced it'll spend $250 million to build more charging stations.
Hit the go button, Angus.
Compare that with New South Wales, which is spending $170 million in one state alone.
This is making it easier for people to drive around the state. It's not going to ruin your weekend. It's going to make sure your weekend's even better than it was.
Bill Shorten wants to end the weekend when it comes to his policy on electric vehicles, where you've got Australians who love being out there in their four-wheel drives. He wants to say, see you later to the SUV.
Let's take the example of Rivian. It's the exact type of electric vehicle that you would be able to go bush bashing, would be able to drive on the beach and go camping. We just need the policies in this country to encourage car makers to bring those models into Australia.
We want to enable people to do the things they love to do and do it better, farther, faster.
According to the federal government, new electric cars will account for 15% of Australia's total emission reductions by 2050. So given the life cycle of most cars is about 15 years, that means all new cars will need to be electric from 2035.
People drive EVs everywhere, even in the very north of Norway, above the polar circle. So if you can drive an EV in Finnmark, you can definitely also do it in Australia.
There are so many people that are embracing these newer technologies because it delivers a better experience and a cheaper drive. And we should be giving people greater choice, not restricting it.
All the major manufacturers are making electric, so it's coming, but I'm a fan of noise, so it's always going to be very difficult.
There's a shock.
It's going to be very difficult to convince me to get an electric vehicle.
Why do you
I
like
to
noise?
hear a V8 engine in particular, I love.
I get that, but we'll just get you a sound file. You
well,
can
they
listen
can do
to it
that.
as you drive.
That's what they're going to do. The Porsche Taycan's done that, but it still doesn't. It's not the same. You need the throbbing engine.
But you do understand that what comes with that noise is it puts all that shit out in the air, don't you?
Yeah. I'm a diesel fan, really.
Go the environment,
He's got specific preferences of shit. That's the way he...
You know, do your kids watch the show?
They do.
They wear these views.
They're very embarrassed by
And they
their
still
father.
claim you as their father?
Very embarrassed, yes.